Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to today's live reading from The Veil by Wanda Luthman, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Join me for chapter 1. Father, Father, please help me with the belt to my tunic, Samuel pleaded. Come here, my son. Are you ready to read the Torah for our family today, your 13th birthday? His father asked. Yes, Father, I am prepared. Thank you for helping me with my belt. The boy's birthday fell on a Thursday this year, the day before the Jewish Passover, which was to begin at sundown the following night. As was custom on the boy's 13th birthday, Samuel would read and pray before his family for the first time, signifying his manhood. Father said, "We are from the tribe of Levi, the tribe that Yahweh, God, appointed him to serve in his tabernacle. You have been reading and studying the Torah from a young age under the rabbi, who has said he saw much promise in you from the beginning. You understand teachings and have always been hungry and eager to learn more. You are my firstborn son. I pray you will be chosen this year to serve as the priest understudying the tabernacle. This is a big day. Make me proud." "I will, Father. I have chosen my passage carefully and have practiced every day." Samuel had chosen his favorite passage from the ancient prophet of Isaiah, Isaiah 53. Samuel's mother had been busy cooking and cleaning to prepare their home for this special day. Everything was ready. All of Samuel's younger siblings were clean and dressed neatly. They sat on the floor in a line, waiting for Samuel. Then the rabbi and the priest came to the front door. Samuel's father welcomed them inside, and they were given the best chairs in the home. Father spoke first. "Welcome, everyone, to this special day for Samuel, our son, who is turning 13 today. On this day, he becomes a man." The rabbi stood and said, "Samuel, my son, whom I've had the pleasure of training in the reading of the Torah, today you have been given the privilege of reading a passage from the Torah in front of your family, myself, and the priest. What passage have you chosen?" Samuel stood and said, "Rabbi, I have enjoyed learning from you, and I thank you for the time you have spent teaching me. For this day, I have chosen my favorite passage from the ancient prophet Isaiah. It speaks about a time when Yahweh will send someone who would be like a lamb slaughtered for the sins of Israel. It seemed appropriate to read since my birthday is just before Passover, which is our celebration of Yahweh rescuing the Jews from the Egyptians. Each family had slaughtered the firstborn male lamb without blemish and painted their doorway in its blood to protect them from the angel of death, so he would pass by their home. You have chosen well, Samuel. Please begin," Rabbi said. In Samuel's native Hebrew tongue, he read the following. Isaiah chapter 53. Who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He hath no form or comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and we hid it as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall prolong his day, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore I will divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he hath poured out his soul unto death, and he was numbered with the transgressors. And he bare the sin of many, and made the intercession for the transgressors. Then Samuel asked everyone to bow their heads as he prayed. Most High Yahweh, we come before you in humility and thank you for all you have given us and provided us this day and throughout the ages. You rescued us from our oppressors, the Egyptians, many years ago, and gave us good province in the land of Canaan. We celebrate your mighty hand of deliverance and gifts of prosperity and provision. Many may glory and honor be upon our lips towards you forevermore. Samuel's father and mother rose and went and stood before him. They placed a special mantle that his mother had made him around his shoulders. This mantle was made of fine woven cloth and had upon it the family symbol. This signified the end of the ceremony and the acceptance of Samuel as a man within his family and to the community. After the bestowing of the family mantle, the rabbi and the priest approached him. The rabbi took his hand in both of his and bowed his head slightly, saying, "My son, my boy, my son, today you have become a man. The passage you have read shows great wisdom and insight. You are well studied and have made this old rabbi very glad." The priest then stepped forward and said, "My young Samuel, I have made my final decision. I am inviting you to participate in this year's Passover rites as my understudy. This is a high honor, and my decision was not made lightly. Do you accept my invitation?" Samuel's eyes grew wide with excitement. Yes, yes, I do, priest. I have longed and hoped and dreamed to be chosen. I am so very grateful and humbled and honored that you have chosen me this year. I will do my absolute best. I know you will. Now go pack your things. We must be going, the priest replied. As Samuel ran upstairs to pack, his parents each took the hand of the priest and thanked him for this special honor bestowed upon their boy and their entire family. Samuel quickly packed his satchel. When he returned, his parents were standing with the rabbi and the priest, smiling with pride. His mother drew him into her arms and hugged him tightly. She spoke softly with a slight hitch in her throat. "Samuel, I am so very proud of you for being chosen to serve in the tabernacle. Be a good young man and serve Yahweh well." She kissed both of his cheeks. "I will, mother," he replied. Then his father shook his hand firmly, looking into his eyes and said, "You're a man today, my son. Serve us and the tribe of Levi well within the tabernacle." "I will, father," Samuel replied. He turned to leave and paused as the doorknob met his hand. The thought occurred to him that he would never return to his home again to live. He ran back and gave his father a hug. His father squeezed him goodbye and patted his back roughly. His father squeezed him quickly and patted his back roughly and said goodbye. Samuel thought he saw a tear run down his father's cheek. He straightened his posture and offered a final forced goodbye and left. The rabbi and the priest had already gone ahead, so he ran to catch up to them. When they reached the priest's home, the rabbi said, "I will bid you farewell here and see you again after Passover. You did well today." "Thank you, Rabbi. I have you to thank for teaching me so well all these years. I will make you proud, I promise." "Goodbye," Samuel said. "Goodbye," the rabbi said, and then quickly disappeared into the crowd. The priest opened the door to his home and gestured for Samuel to follow him. He went upstairs and showed him the room that was to be his and the special clothes he would wear for the ceremony. Then he said, "Dinner is promptly at 6. Come dressed in your tunic and belt as you are now. After dinner, you will return to your room and do your studies. Bedtime is precisely at 8 o'clock. You will rise at 6 in the morning without my assistance, and breakfast is at 7. Afterwards, you will accompany me to the temple." He turned and left quickly, closing the door behind him. Samuel sat on the cot and said to himself, "This day has been more wonderful than I could have even imagined." A quiet sense of awe washed over him as tears filled his eyes. I knew Yahweh was doing something special with my life. At precisely 6, he arrived downstairs. The priest sat without a word and then motioned for the boy to sit across for him. Samuel pulled out the wooden chair and sat. The priest folded his hands and closed his eyes, so Samuel did the same. The priest prayed, "O most holy and mighty Yahweh, thank you for this meal. May we never forget that you are our provider." The priest served the vegetable soup and dry bread to Samuel. Then he served himself. The two sat in silence as they ate. Afterwards, the priest said, "Pick up your dishes and follow me." They went outside to a small water basin where they each washed and dried their own dishes, and then returned inside and placed them on the counter for the next use. The priest said, "Samuel, return to your room and study the scroll that I have chosen for you." Samuel nodded and climbed the narrow staircase to his room. There he knelt by his cot and prayed, "Most holy, high Yahweh, thank you for the opportunity to serve you and your people. Please grant me the wisdom to understand my studies and help me be a worthy servant." Then he opened the scroll the priest had selected for him. He carefully unrolled it. He gasped, "Now I know Yahweh has selected me this day to serve him, because this is the very prophet I read from today at my 13th birthday celebration." Neither the rabbi nor the priest knew I was going to read from the prophet Isaiah. The silent awe he felt earlier surrounded him again. He read until 8 that evening, then he blew out the candle on the table next to his cot and fell fast asleep. He woke with the first ray of sun and dressed quickly, and then went downstairs. The priest was waiting for him with a stern look in his eyes. Samuel bowed his head and said, "I apologize, priest, if I was late." The priest sat and motioned for him to sit as well. Again, they ate in silence and washed and dried their dishes. The priest said, "Return to your room and dress yourself in the woven tunic and leather belt I have provided for you for this day. Be sure to latch your sandals and wear your mantle that your parents bestowed upon you yesterday. Wait for me. I will call you when we are ready to leave." Samuel did exactly as he was told. He followed the priest's instructions and sat on his cot to wait. He bowed his head. "O most high, holy Yahweh, allow me to be pleasing to the priest. I do not want to disappoint him or you. I want to make my family and the community proud." After a long while, the priest called for him and he descended the stairs. The priest said, "Come, let's go now." They left and walked through the crowded streets to the Tabernacle. There were people from many cities and towns far and near, and livestock in the streets of Jerusalem. They had all come for Passover. They walked through the crowds and overheard people discussing the activities that occurred overnight. Apparently, a man named Yeshua, Jesus, which means God is salvation or God is deliverance, protection, rescue, freedom, refuge, and safety, had been found guilty of the highest hearsay, calling himself equal to God. He had been condemned to die on a cross just outside the city. Samuel had heard rumors of this man who went around healing people. He was puzzled that such a kind man would think himself equal to Yahweh and not realize his error once he was brought before a court of the law. Then Samuel and the priest entered the outer gates of the tabernacle. It was just at a time of change of staff. They watched as families and children and couples and single people all brought their firstborn choice livestock to be sacrificed for their sins. Samuel said, "I have come many times with my family with our chosen lamb and understand the importance and significance and contrition of heart in this holy activity." The priest nodded at him but didn't say a word. As Samuel was contemplating this, he and the priest watched the other priests perform their duties, and then the priest said, "Come, let us wash our hands in the basin." As they were drying their hands, another priest brought sacrificial blood in a bowl to them, and taking a hyssop branch, dipped it into the blood. He recited an ancient prayer in Hebrew and flicked the blood over their heads and upon their garments. The priest said, "This concludes the cleansing ritual that must be performed before we enter the holy place." Samuel's heart pounded with excitement, and he said, "I am humbled and honored to be partaking in this most holy ritual that few have had the privilege to experience. I feel a spiritual connection to all the priests who have ever served." "Indeed, participating in ancient rituals does connect us with our past," the priest replied. The priest led Samuel to another area. There were 12 loaves of showbread carefully arranged in a basket and a bowl of olive oil. He said, "Tomorrow morning we will wake before sunrise and come to the tabernacle and cleanse ourselves in order to take these items to the holy place at the prescribed time. You will take the basket of showbread and remove the loaves that are lying on the table and replace them with the fresh showbread. I will check the oil in the lampstands. You are not to talk or ask me any questions while we are inside. Do you understand? Yes, Samuel replied. Do you have any questions before I take you inside to show you? No, sir. They went to the entrance of the holy place, bowed their heads, and offered a simple prayer. O most holy Yahweh, please accept the cleansing of our bodies through the ancient rituals you have given our forefathers, that we may enter the holy place in peace and safety.